I don't know what he did, but he deserved it probably.
My mic wasn't coming through anyway, so he couldn't hear me. Fuck you, Denny. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another wonderful episode of Two Beers Deep. I am Deke, your host with Greg. Tonight we got a full lineup of things to cover on the show, on the pod. This will be the first episode we send back to podcast form. So we'll have to put context into what we're reading in the comments section, Greg, so pay attention.
Paying attention has never been my forte. I've always been known to be someone that likes to wander off into the distance and stuff. Oh, it's so pretty outside.
I think I hate you.
Sorry.
Well, you don't say sorry. Double down.
I can't, because when you immediately say something that is going to make me feel bad, I in turn then have to struggle and acknowledge. I don't know. I in turn have to acknowledge it, and I'm just be like, yes, nice strikeout. Thank God.
It should make you feel bad.
All right. Cool. Let's go.
So we got a full slate of stuff to cover tonight. We got a ton of NBA coverage coming up. NBA playoffs are going on. We have NHL playoffs to cover. We have the greatest upset in sports history, Greg, based off some knowledge there coming in. And MVP, Trouble in Paradise for Joker and Embiid, a couple other NBA teams hitting the cap. And then obviously we'll talk about a couple NFL updates. So a full slated show for Dennis, since he's our
some ins and outs, if you will, is what the professional way I like to call it. Some ins and outs.
I don't know if anybody says that.
I say it.
I know, but the professional is a loose term there.
That's true.
You know what? I meant to grab. Well, I guess I'm drinking a beer tonight, Greg. I meant to grab a seltzer from the office to make the noise. And I didn't bring it, so hold on one sec. Let me grab a can so we can start the show.
Well, I was going to say, Deke, and while he does this, people really should know that, if anything, you could very easily just do the noise on your own, for people on the audio portion that are trying to hear this and stuff. You could very easily pretend to make that noise with the idea that, hey, I can pretend like I'm drinking a beer when in actuality I'm not. I do it all the time and stuff like that, so I don't know why he's bugging.
I think that what the funniest thing about... So I said to everybody was it 2 Sundays ago when you left?
Yes, that you were taking a sabbatical, if you will. A sabbatical from beer.
I told everyone after you had left that I was retiring from beer for a short amount of time. Since that moment, I have only drank beer 3 days. So out of them, why pretend when you can just drink, nerds? Smart man. So there was one day where we went out to a brewery for a work meeting, and I was like, it's disrespectful to get a cider because they didn't make ciders. And then,
awesome brewery, by the way. Just saying. Awesome brewery. Yes.
And then had beer last night because I wanted a home style. So only 2 since 2 Sundays ago. So here we go. 3, 2, 1, action. What are you sipping on today, Greg?
So, Deke, last week I mentioned that I was going to polish off this incredible beer this weekend and then purchase something new. I unfortunately did not do that because I was planning on drinking it on Saturday when I got back from a shindig I was at, and by the time I got home, it was about 10:30, and I was not in the mood to have a 7% beer. But now on a Thursday night, I am in the mood for having a 7% beer because it is again moving Castle 4 from the beautiful, beautiful folks at Trace Brewing, and this is the very last one. And I promise I will have something new next week.
There you go. Shout out to Trace Brewing. I'm having Happen Harry's Kings of Leon, the beer that you snagged you down here, light American lager.
Ooh, underrated light beer, actually, I must say.
It's okay. I'm not mad at it. Yeah. It's a light beer. I can't be too mad at it. The ranking. Well, Greg, let's fill the people in. What happened on the rankings court this week?
Well, it was a very trashy show, if you will. And no, I'm not talking about the people that were on it either. Just saying. But it was an episode that was decided to discuss the idea of trash TV. Now, here's the problem. Here's the problem with that topic that I think in hindsight might have been the issue.
Yeah, I got a ton of issues. So
the way that it was kind of conveyed on the episode, I can't necessarily determine if it was good or bad. That the ranking was set that way, if
Yeah.
that makes sense. Yeah. It was strange, if you will. I like it's you want to say it's so bad that it's good, but then there's just also stuff that's just really horrible to watch, you know? So how do you differentiate between the two?
That's where I was at with Austin. I think that like I loved the show obviously, and the topic was great, but my problem was like the category was worst MTV shows.
Mm-hmm.
And then you guys kept having to caveat that this was worst MTV shows that you love to watch. And I was like, well,
That's the point. Yeah. It's weird. Like
drastically different.
Like he put Room Raiders at 4, and I was ready to strangle him because I love Room Raiders.
Yeah, and there was a couple other shows where I was like, well, that's a great show. So I don't know. I think we need to fire phone and get another graphics guy. Hey, let's do a performance review of this guy's show. I mean, we do it every week on this show, Austin. So
yeah, where have you been, bud? Like that's something that we do all the time. This is basically like the only time during the week that Deke and I see each other. So we just catch up on everything that's been going on in our lives, and then we also just bash everyone else in our lives too. That's kind of the format. Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, cool. Yeah, no, I thought it was a good show. I was interested in it. Obviously, we got the Vault coming out tomorrow. The Vault will have
their first in-person show, right? Yeah, this is gonna be interesting.
I don't know if I've said a sentence tonight. You haven't cut me off.
There, you just did.
Yeah, but that's because I yelled at you, and you're not saying anything.
Now I'm getting extremely defensive, like I said I do.
Yeah, and it's not even like I'm not even mad at you for cutting. I just don't even think you just seem really, really excited.
You know, let me explain to you why I'm excited, Deke. Tomorrow will be also tomorrow's a Friday the 13th, mind you, which I find very funny that
I didn't think about that.
Yeah, tomorrow is Friday the 13th. Usually some wicked things are coming that way, if you will, you know. But tomorrow is far from wicked for me, to say the least. My favorite band right now, Stay Champs, drop their brand new album tomorrow. And from the singles that have been released so far, it is straight up bangers, and I'm excited for it. But that's not even the best part about tomorrow. As Dre and I so eloquently say, the king has returned with the one and the only, the great Kendrick Lamar is back and drops a new album tomorrow. When I tell you that my ear holes are going to be thrilled with what I'm going to give to them tomorrow, cannot be understated enough whatsoever. And I cannot wait to wake up tomorrow morning and just hear music that I love from two artists like that.
That's why you cut me off?
Yes.
Okay. That's actually a good reason.
Thank you.
Yeah, no, a ton of music coming out. I mean, a ton of stuff going on in rap. Obviously, the Heart Part 5 dropped, which did you see that got leaked before it could drop?
I know. I'm surprised that happened because usually Kendrick's pretty good about keeping that under lock and key.
When it wasn't even his fault. So Spotify streamed the Heart Part 5 now as a banner ad like a day before it went live. So it basically leaked, which is sucky for Kendrick.
Yeah, no, it's pretty bullcrap on that one. I do think the album cover is interesting for him. I believe I didn't even know that he got married and had kids and stuff too. If that was his wife and kids, because I would love that if that's the case or not. But it might just be promotional artwork for all I know.
Yeah, I mean, he had a white crown of thorns on and a gun in his back pocket while holding the one kid, and his wife was on the bed. Yeah, so he has a 2-year-old daughter whose name is yet to be revealed, which is crazy to me. But he confirms the birth of his second child in the album cover, yeah. So it's crazy. I mean, here's the thing: this is going to be his last album, right?
As far as I'm aware, yes, unless he decides to just drop something randomly that we aren't aware of and stuff. He could, for all we know, he could pull a Beyonce and just drop an album out of nowhere, and we would just be all thrilled and stuff. But I'm just amazed that this is even happening because Kendrick is really, aside from the Super Bowl stuff, which I'm amazed he even was a part of.
Agreed.
No one's heard a word from Kendrick in years. And I'm just like, the fact that it's coming out now, I'm so fascinated to see what happens because a lot happened since since Damn was released.
Well, let's go. So, okay. Damn was released in 2017.
Yeah.
He released Black Panther a year after that. And
Okay.
then there was The Heart Part 5 is all that's on Spotify currently. He had Family Ties with Big Keem, or Baby Keem, excuse me.
And that's his cousin, isn't it?
Yeah. So there's old pictures of Baby Keem in the album with him when they're making Damn,
Mm.
which is crazy.
Mm-hmm.
Does he even have any like features?
I don't think he.
Range
I don't think
Brothers,
so.
Wow Freestyle is from 2018. Yeah, so Family Ties, Range Brothers, both of those came out obviously in September for his cousin Baby Keem. Since then, no new music since 2018 other than the Hard
Yeah.
Part 5.
I cannot wait because I can't imagine what he has to say.
Well, what was his unreleased album? Had like the Untitled Unmastered. So that was 2016. Holy crap.
Yeah, that was a while ago. I remember that.
That's crazy to think about.
Mhm.
So yeah, his album's dropping tomorrow, and State Champs album's dropping tomorrow. How many songs have you heard from there?
4 from State Champs so far, and one of them was a cover of a Fall Out Boy song from Take This to Your Grave, and it was a phenomenal cover. So I cannot wait to hear the rest of it. There's some interesting features on it, to say the least. Like, they got an eclectic group with it, so I'm excited to see what it's going to be like. And I can't wait for tomorrow. This is going to be one of the, like, in terms of music, I don't think the last time I've ever been excited to hear something drop for a long time. So
yeah, I can't think of another album similar to this because obviously this is the big album for you from Kendrick. I can't think of the last time an album was coming. Maybe, and I still got to talk to Josh about this, maybe Jack Harlow's album that turned out to be terrible.
When that was last year, wasn't it? I'm pretty sure.
That was a week ago, brother.
Oh, damn.
No. The last year's album was good. This new album has one good song on it, and the only good part about that good song is Drake's verse.
Really? It's that bad?
So the glamorous song, I am a G, throw up the L, sex in the AM. Massive when it was leaked. So he leaked a bit of it on TikTok.
Okay.
Everyone was going crazy, and then that song dropped, and it was, I don't know, it was just bad. Like, it wasn't, it was an amazing sample. All of his samples are unbelievable, but I just looked at it. It was rough, dude. It wasn't good.
Wow.
And I feel bad.
Would you say they?
Go ahead, sorry.
Is it possible that he rushed through it? Perhaps.
No. I just think. So here's what it was for me, and again, we gotta get Josh to talk about it sometime. My problem with Jack Harlow's album was, so he did this thing on his last album in the song with Chris Brown, where he's like talking as the chick and talking about himself, and like he's relaying this conversation back, but he's speaking for both it. He did it again in this album, and it was like when you were in preschool and you write a story about a zebra and you got a gold star, so then the next time they said write a story about another animal, you wrote about a zebra again because you wanted another gold star. It was just like, man, like, it's the same shit.
Got it.
I don't know. I'm interested to see what Josh thinks about it, because obviously him and I got into it about Jack Harlow like early in I thought Jack Harlow was a one-hit wonder. He dropped a bunch of really good songs. I was proven very wrong, but this album makes me think that he's not that good, Greg.
Wow. How many albums is this from? Is this his second or third?
I believe, let's check out Spotify. My guess is that this is his second, would be because he had that's what they all say. He had so he had an album called Sweet Action in 2020, excuse me. I don't think I know any of the songs on there except for What's Poppin'. So Sweet Action 2020 is What's Poppin' was on. Then he dropped That's What They All Say, which had songs like Face of My City, which was amazing. Way Out, which was amazing. Already Best Friends was amazing. Like, this album was really, really good. Like, really good. What's Poppin' with DaBaby, Lil Wayne, Tory Lanez. And so then he dropped this album called First Class. Excuse me. Called Come Home, The Kids Miss You. And it's just not that good. It's just not
hate
good.
to see it.
Yeah, like, it's tough, right? Because how do you critique someone who's, he's a millionaire, and I love the dude now, It just ain't good. Just gonna say it. It ain't good.
I mean, listen, I feel like I think every artist or every band that we enjoy is probably bound to have some sort of stinker or some sort of work that we aren't fans of or anything like that. Like I was having this conversation with my brother because two bands that I like dropped albums last week, Stand Atlantic and Simple Plan, and especially with Stand Atlantic, it was their third album. And the difference between their last one and this one was a lot more, you could tell it was a lot more produced. And I sometimes have that conversation where I think trying to say something is overproduced doesn't necessarily mean it's bad.
Yeah, that's an interesting,
I just think it's them.
That's a fun thought. I really like that.
I don't think saying something is overproduced is necessarily bad. I just think it means that they're trying different sounds and they're trying different methods. So therefore, you're going to have more people involved with it, because there has to be a big difference. And also because of the fact too that every single artist can't just continuously, it's the zebra thing that you just brought up. Like you can't do the same thing all the time and then expect to, grow as an artist. You have to be able to kind of expand your horizons a little bit. And especially as an artist, that's something I feel like everyone does. That's like the reason that Yellow Card stopped being a band for a while, is because people got sick, because all people wanted to hear was Ocean Avenue. They didn't care about any of the newer stuff. So if that's going to be some Lights and Sound was very good. You're not wrong.
Other song I can really name by them.
Yeah. And then, but like it gets to the point where like you put out so much new stuff and all that, but people, all they want to hear is the old stuff. Then you get a little hamstrung by that. So I think that with artists and stuff in general, I don't think it's necessarily bad that they try new stuff and they try different things from time to time. But I think as fans, we have to realize that we can't expect the same from it all the time. We have to be willing to let bands and artists that we like try something different, I mean, fuck, Lil Wayne did a rock album, remember?
Yeah, that was good. Jack Harlow just isn't good. I'm back on that train, so someone let Josh LSS know, is what I'm saying, so that I can send this tweet out and it's a legally real thing.
When he hears this when it's finally dropped, he'll immediately call you and be like, "What did you say about my precious?"
I just tweeted it out. Quote, Jack Harlow just isn't good. I'm back on that train, so someone let @LSS77 know. Derek Whiten on 2 Beers Deep. I'm just going to start sending out when we have stuff like that. I'm just going to start tweeting it. So
that's not a bad idea.
Fuck Smalls. I think he is a poo-poo head. So
what did Smalls do this time?
I don't know. I want to tweet it. Fuck Smalls. I think he is a silly poo-poo head.
Yeah.
Deke.
He moved back to Pittsburgh too. Screw him.
Wow, I'm using that one. He moved back to Pittsburgh. Screw him. Why screw him?
I don't know. It's just fun.
I like how you said screw on 2 beers.
I'm trying to censor myself when it comes to social media. What can I say?
All right, this is our new marketing tactic. Since we don't have that many viewers, if you're listening to the podcast, obviously this has gone off the rails, but what we're doing is tweeting out things that we're saying during the show so that people, and we're just going to start, I used to do that a lot. I would just tag people. And
if it encourages more downloads to try to figure out why was this said and stuff like that, well, there you go.
No, it'll just get people to come in, say something in the comments, and leave, which is exciting in itself. So every time we want to say something, I'm just going to start tweeting it out during the show. So shout out to everyone listening to the podcast. You can find us at thoughtonthebench.com, twitch.tv/thoughtonthebench. Just, that's what it is, Greg.
Yeah. If you set an alert, obviously you'll see anytime we go live. We always put out new stuff all the time for people to enjoy and laugh and engage us with, and we enjoy it, to say the least. Also, something I forgot to bring up. I did learn that on Rankings Court this past Tuesday, I learned that I have a really good announcer voice.
Why is that?
Because I did the actual read, from Rankings Court is live today from Infinite Studios. I did it in a very low and mellow.
Who told you it was good?
Voice.
I guess is going to be my next question.
It was both Vo and Austin.
Okay,
actually.
That doesn't matter. I want to say this real quick though, Greg. Do you think that Denny likes being short? Because that's something he should work on if he doesn't.
I feel like that's I have never been short that I can recall before. Even when I was 5, I don't think I was short, so that's never been a problem that I've had in my life. But I do feel like for the sake of everyone around him, that is something that he should work on.
Yeah, that's fair. I think it would be better for everyone to do it. So I tweeted
Exactly.
that out. All right, let's get into the first topic tonight. The NBA playoffs are underway, Greg. So we're going to break it down by matchup for this sport because it is the better of the ones.
And also because last week we touched on the first round series while the second round was technically going on, because we had to recap what happened in the first round series, because 2 weeks ago we did our NFL Draft Spectacular, which you can watch on YouTube, and all the shenanigans that occurred with that.
Do you speak into your microphone?
Yes.
Are you sure that it's your mic and not like your AirPods and stuff? Tap your mic a bunch. Okay, it is your mic. You don't sound off. It was like a delayed thing. I don't know why. You look great.
Thank you. Appreciate it. I try. I moisturized this morning,
Okay. First matchup we want to talk about here. Heat 76ers, the one where, man, I really, Greg, on a human level would like to see Jimmy Butler get a ring. And I think that this Heat team has a very good chance because the Bucks and Celtics, who we'll get into, are beating the shit out of each other. I like this Heat team a lot in this matchup, and I think Embiid is a fraud. Oh, no, wait. Who scored the first basket for the Heat?
I don't know. I don't have the game on.
Oh, no. Who scored the first basket?
Why? Who'd you bet on?
I bet on that Struss. Oh, no.
Oh.
Who scored? Why can't stats? Stat data is not available.
Stats. No. Damn it. Stats.
All right, I'll just
go darn it.
Slip. Well, I don't think I won because that would have been $350 off a free $5 bet.
Hang on. Jimmy Butler.
Damn it.
Struss got the next basket.
What did he do to get it?
3-pointer.
Oh, that would have been it. Fuck. That would have been a free $5 bet turned into $350 for no reason.
Oh, damn it.
Well, that's booty cheeks. Anyway, so the Heat 76ers currently going on right now, tied 9-9, whatever it is. But 76ers, big problems that they have, Greg. They shipped everything away for James Harden. Joel Embiid is somewhat of a fraud, in my opinion, despite having who's the last big man that led his team to an NBA final? Big man.
That led his team to a final?
Like, that was the guy on a team that won an NBA final.
I mean, no, I'm not going to say AD because that was LeBron and him tag teaming 100%. On that one. So so I'm not going to do that. I could probably maybe KG with the big three, but that's like stretching because he was a 4-5. He wasn't like a true big. Yeah. So maybe that D Wade and Shaq combo in Miami.
That's what I'm saying though. Is like,
yeah.
I mean, you might be. I can't even give Tim Duncan the credit there.
No, I mean Dwight Howard got the Magic to a finals, but he couldn't finish it off though. So I'll give you that. And Duncan, I wouldn't even put as like a quote unquote big, just because of the fact that he was just
really?
He did everything well, and he was like
chip rights and Tim Duncan. You don't think Tim Duncan's a big man?
He's like the most unbig big man, if that makes sense. Like he doesn't play like a big man. He doesn't play like a big man. That's what I'm saying.
I don't.
That's my.
I can't just let you say that and say, yeah, I accept it. I need you to go into it because he's the greatest power forward of all time.
That's my point, though. Like when I think of big, I think of center. I think of the guy that takes up the space that has to that a defense has to collapse on in order to guard around the rim and stuff like that. Like Duncan was a power forward, so he had the ability to maneuver around and stuff, and he was an excellent passer with that. When I'm thinking of center, I think of Hakeem, I think of Shaq, I think of Dwight Howard, I think of all those bigger bodied guys.
Big man doesn't just mean center. I mean, Joker's technically could be a power forward. You said AD.
That's true, and AD could also shoot it too. And Joker though is an anomaly just because of the fact that he's probably one of the best passing centers I've ever seen. So,
do you consider him a big man?
Yeah, by default I do.
But you don't consider Tim Duncan, who's also a good passer, a big man?
I think it's because I just think of Tim Duncan in as more than that, I guess. I don't know.
You can be a big man and other stuff. You're not just a big man. Like, big
That is
man
true.
means
That's being
big. Go ahead.
no, it's just being multi-talented is like the area I was going.
I don't know. I think you're stretching.
That's fair.
Heat 76ers.
I can't stretch. I can't stretch very well, in case you couldn't tell.
Heat 76ers. Anything going on here that you like? Don't ever put your foot on camera again.
Sorry. Well, right now in Game 6, Danny Green went to the locker room and he is injured, and he was probably one of their best shooters, to say the least, right there. That Game 3 that he had, where I think he put up 20-something, was a big help for them.
Yeah, I'd say he's probably the best shooter on the court.
You really are pushing the Embiid being a fraud thing. Yes. I see your point, but I'm also willing to say that the dude right now is playing with torn ligaments in his thumb and orbital bone fracture, and is probably still going through concussion syndromes, but is just faking his way through it. So I have to give the guy like some sort of credit right here, to the point that he's at least making a difference. I have to. Could you imagine trying to play through all of that just for the sake of wanting to win a ring?
But he's not going to win a ring, so what's the point?
But just the fact that his team got better with him at 50%, to say the least, and he's willing to do all that, I have to give him some sort of credit right there.
Yeah, I give him credit that he was an MVP candidate. He's an MVP candidate, but he's not a title winner. He's never going to take a team to a title.
So what does he need then? Because he clearly is not James Harden in that case. Even though Harden had a great Game 4 where he actually dropped 30, but then Game 5 he actually came back down to earth and crashed with that. So
yeah, but Harden wanted to go there, so he didn't have to be the guy, which is fine. But then Joel Embiid has to be the guy, and Joel Embiid.
Embiid also wasn't there for the first 2 games, so like it's
not just this playoffs.
I'm willing to give him the benefit of the doubt. I do think that it can work out for them, but I think it's not going to this time around, especially because of the fact that Embiid's not 100%. And because this Miami Heat team, like, I'm stunned. Let me rephrase that, because I feel like that's a...
What up, Blood Bomb with the 6-month sub? He says, 6 months of Deke, fuck my life.
Boy, you have a fan over in the UK. That's impressive.
I love Blood Bomb. Good to see you, buddy. Hope you're doing well, man. We're doing the podcast too, Blood Bomb, so you can listen back to all the shows on.
Yes, you can. Yes, you can. We can go international, if you will.
We are international.
Damn right.
Keep going about your really bad.
Something I just wanted to point out too is that in Game 4, when Jimmy Butler dropped, I think he dropped 40 in Game 4 actually, and they still lost that game. Good. I think that was. And I point this out here too, like, Butler's one of those guys that, like, he'll casually drop 20, but no one will ever look at him as like that guy, you know? And I think it's kind of something that, and unfortunate is the case, because he was the entire reason they got to the NBA Finals that one year. But after he dropped 40 in Game 4 and they still lost that game, I think that was kind of like that light bulb clicking moment for him, because Game 5 he dominated. Game 6 he already has 9 points in the first quarter, so this might be the spark that he needed to get his ass going in this one.
Blood Bomb writes in, good mate, sorry, missed Monday. I was asleep for 24 hours straight. You missed a good one. Denny wasn't there. Denny was at playoff hockey, which we'll get into later in the show.
That's why it was good, yeah.
Me, Smalls, you're not wrong. Me, Smalls, Alex had a good show. Love you, Den. So, yeah, no, so Jimmy Butler's an interesting guy here, because he's probably the perfect character in Pat Riley's Heat. And what I mean by that is 100% fitness, 100% now, pedal to the metal. It doesn't matter who they have, because we have these guys type of superstar. Jimmy Butler, throughout his career, I think he's the Kanye West of basketball, Greg. And what I mean by that is I
need to explain that one.
His entire career, he's been fighting that he's a superstar, and people don't think he's a superstar. They think he's a role player. They put him in a little box, like, hey, you're a really good guard, stick over here. He bounces around, he causes friction, but at the end of the day, he is a top 10 basketball player, no questions asked. He's not a role player. He's an absolute star, but he has to be a star on his own terms, which is here. He couldn't be a star for the Timberwolves because he thought they were a bunch of little bitches. He couldn't be a star for the 76ers. Realistically, Greg, one of the other reasons I hate the 76ers is because Jimmy Butler could have re-signed with them, but he wanted out and gets to Miami. So what I mean by that is, if you watch the Kanye West documentary, Kanye, while he was doing amazing beat production, was fighting and fighting and fighting and fighting to be considered a rapper. It's crazy for me that Jimmy Butler still consistently to this day is fighting to be considered a superstar when I think he is.
And here's the thing, I'm surprised that more people don't consider him that, but I think part of it is because of the fact too that he doesn't put up the numbers that we are accustomed to from superstars. But there's nothing wrong with what he does necessarily. Like, he is a damn good player, and if he like turns it up during the playoffs and stuff, I'm totally okay with that, because this is a guy that is motivated to win a ring, and especially because he'd be the face of the Miami Heat team if he did it. But I do think that he does not get the respect that he deserves. But I think it's more so because of the fact too that Miami just has a very good team consistently.
Mm-hmm.
Like, Pat Riley knows how to build a team to make it just work all together and stuff. Butler's not relied upon to be that guy to dominate in a game. If he's off or anything like that, then they can go to Bam, they can go to Duncan, they can go to Lowry, they can go to, and they'll randomly just pull up guys all over off the street and will somehow do well for them. Like, PJ Tucker's having a good series to start. The guy that we were just talking about came up out of nowhere all of a sudden.
So I'll challenge you in the sense when you're saying he's not putting up the numbers. Jimmy Butler, this year and last year, averaged 21.5 points a game. 2019-20, he had 19.9. Year before that, 18.2. Year before that, 21. Year before 18. Year before 22, 23, 20, 20, 13. So he's averaged double-digit points every game since 2013, which, granted, I'm with you, not like electric superstar, but when you combine that with the fact that this year he had 6, last year he had 7, the year before that 7, averaged rebounds per game, combine that with the fact that he's averaging 6 assists this year, 7 assists the year before, 6 assists the year before, and he's doing it all on a high octane where he's playing almost every game on the schedule. I mean, minutes played per game, it's 34 minutes per game. Like, he's an absolute engine. So I think one of the things is he's not putting up Steph Curry numbers in that time because he is grinding and playing and busting his ass to be there every minute that he can. So the points they're going to be there, right? If you play 40 minutes of basketball, it's fair to assume you're going to put up 20 points. But I like Jimmy Butler. Greg, he made, and we'll get into it after we cover all the teams, he made my all-time draft. He was one of the first bench players taken.
He did. I'm surprised he made it to a degree, but I'm also not, because you are a big Jimmy Butler guy. I will say that.
Real quick, love you, Blood Bomb. Appreciate you for stopping by. He's going to jump out. We can check it out. Check us out on Spotify, everything Blood Bomb, to check the audio of the show, and this will be up on YouTube tonight, buddy. So love you and appreciate you. Keep going, Greg.
Thanks, Blood Bomb. But yeah, no, I'm curious how much of it is also based on the fact, too, that because after the final stretch that he had where he just gave everything that he could, I'm curious. That's a good point. That's part of it.
Is that the ceiling?
We saw him give everything that he could and carry a team on his back, and it wasn't enough. Now, granted, it was against a healthy LeBron and AD, which is still something, like, when they are both healthy, that's still a very good duo to go up against. But it's also, when you think about it, that series was also an anomaly in itself because it was in the bubble. It was the emergence of Tyler Hero. It was, and then also
Duncan
just
Robinson looked great.
Duncan Robinson too, yeah. And then and now we kind of see the fruits kind of being like born from that, where Pat Riley realized, okay, what are the pieces that are missing from this to finally make it a true championship team? And I think it's starting to come to fruition. But I also think it's to the point too where they're realizing that Jimmy Butler doesn't need to be the person to drop 30 every single game. And maybe that's part of the reasoning with regards to that, because like Butler recognizes the fact that this team is so well balanced that he doesn't have to consistently be the predominant scorer. He doesn't have to carry this team on his back anymore. Maybe that's part of the reason why we don't put him in that same echelon currently, because of the fact we don't see him doing everything because he doesn't have to.
Who's a better shooting guard than him right now, in your mind? It's a very open question. It's an open discussion. I think that I would take him, like, if we're doing a season tomorrow, not a dynasty, not anything, I'm taking him over Devin Booker. I'm taking him over Donovan Mitchell. I'm taking him over Clay, CJ. I'm taking Jimmy Butler. I'm going to Google and see, just because, obviously.
I was going to say,
James Harden. That's a tough one for me.
Yeah, right now,
definitely. Yes. Like, James Harden obviously can be elite. Bradley Beal's on this list. Zach LaVine. I understand, too. Here's the other thing. Jimmy moves to small forward every once in a while. Like, so I'm not just looking at it from a guard perspective, but I think he's super underappreciated. I think he is a superstar.
Oh, I agree. He's underappreciated. I'm not denying
Yeah.
that. It's just I think the reason we don't look at him in the same light as some of these other superstars is because of the fact that we see he doesn't have to necessarily do as much, even though he has that star personality and he has that. I think every casual NBA fan loves Jimmy Butler for the fact that
Everybody wants him on their team.
Yes, everyone wants Jimmy Butler on their team. He would fit in almost any situation, and you never hear him say anything about when am I going to get mine.
Yes, agreed. Sake of time, Greg, let's stumble over. Well, I guess I'm picking the Heat to win. Are you as well?
Yeah, I think they're done. I think Embiid is just like a shell right now, so yeah. I have to go.
You can use the word fraud. Let's go to which I don't think I owe you. I won't say I owe you an apology, Greg, but someone said to me the other day that this is the most boring playoff matchup he's ever seen. Celtics Bucks. So you and I get into it where I think it's a great matchup and I think it's must-watch TV and I think it's electric, and you continue to say that it's a boring matchup. Someone said to me the other day, like, I just haven't gotten into it because it's boring, and I don't get it because Al Horford going off last game was great.
Dropped 30. It was like he was playing LeBron in the Heat again. I just threw me the hell off. And then getting into Giannis's face, by the way, is not something I was expecting him to do. Which, by the way, screw the refs for like calling a tech on Giannis just for him flexing. That's some bull crap that I have to point out there. I do
love Giannis.
I do too, but that's a bunch of crap that he gets a T called up on him just because he flexes in Al Horford's face. Then Al Horford gets all hyped up and he gets nothing. Come on. Well, I mean, except for him elbowing him in the face, but that was accidental. So on that one.
This matchup, though, I think I want to say the Bucks are up 3-2.
Yes, after last night, the Bucks are up 3-2. And here's something I'm going to point out here too.
Yeah.
It's boring from the set of that there's not like a ton of like high scoring and loud personalities with regards to it, but what I will say is that
don't go back on it now.
I'm not necessarily going back on it, but what I will say, that Drew Holiday play last night on defense was one of the best plays I've seen all year.
Dude, here's one of the things
that was incredible.
I don't know if you remember the show. We were in studio when they got Drew Holiday, the Bucks, and so this was Josh's beginning of fandom with them. And he was like, I think you and I both were like, nah, dude, like he could be the piece. Like he is such an underappreciated, amazing guard. I wish he still wore the samurai headband.
I forgot about that.
Dude, it was sick. But dude, this Bucks team or this Celtics team, whoever comes out of here realistically and plays the Heat, I think everyone. Celtics Heat would be interesting. I think Heat Bucks, the Bucks can do it because they're just deep.
So it'll be them last year too.
Yeah.
And they should get Chris Middleton back too as well, which would be massive for them.
Terrifying. I love this matchup, but let's stumble along here to something a little more exciting. Grizz Warriors, Steph, Clay. Oops, I got your Zoom in the wrong situation. Apologies there.
That's okay.
Well, I know it's okay for you, Greg. It's not about you that the camera's messed up. You can't tell the difference.
I know. Maybe the camera's afraid of me or something because of how gorgeous I am or something. I don't know.
Steph Curry, Draymond Green, Jordan Poole, Klay Thompson going up against no longer Ja Morant, and yet the Grizzlies absolutely blew their shit out last game. They were up by 50 at one point, Greg.
Yeah, here's something that I can't wrap my head around. I watched near the end of the first half with this, and then I was watching the halftime report, and then Shaq and Charles are talking about the mindset about going into a game 5 when the road team's up 3-1 and stuff like that. I can't, and I also know that the Warriors are playing without Steve Kerr because Kerr's still in COVID protocols and stuff like that. I can't imagine the Warriors are going into a game 5, potentially closing out a series lackadaisical. I can't see that. That's
interesting.
The idea, that's what I point. I understand Charles and Shaq saying something about how players can get comfortable or don't try to put an effort into it. When have you ever heard Steph, Clay, or Draymond not putting in effort to try to finish anything? or being lackadaisical with stuff like that?
Two things. One, anybody listening to the podcast version of this, Dre, I don't think this is as funny as you think it is, Dre. Dre says Mitch Trubisky just had a baby. That baby is going to love his mom's titties. Dre tweeted it, put it into a group chat, put it into the Facebook chat, and came here and said it. Dre, I'm now laughing. Here's the thing, Dre. Never mind. It's funny. I can't even. Yeah, it's funny.
Right.
I'm 4 beers and 7 glizzies deep in right field right now. I hate you, Dre.
He's enjoying life right now.
Two, the other side of this, Greg. This is though. So I never really understood what experience meant until I got into this job now, because in like me professionally, and what people were like, well, they got the experience to go deep. I don't get bothered by things at work that I got bothered by at my previous job, because I know what the outcome is going to be. So something goes wrong and everyone's freaking out like, oh my gosh, this, if a client's post on social media doesn't go live, Greg, I used to sweat and be like, I'm going to get fired. This is the worst thing. Now I go, oh, cool. Let me find another day for it. Like I don't think the Warriors took their foot off the Grizz's neck, but the Warriors, once they started losing that game, they don't need to panic and start clawing their way back into that one specific game. Because I think that Steph and Dre know they're going to win this game. Okay, cool. We have 2 more chances to do it. We don't need to burn our energy catching up to them right now. So I don't think – I think that's where playoff experience comes, because the Grizz, they're up against a wall. They need to continue to win. The Dubs don't – they don't need to win that game. So when you're down by like 20, 25, that lead starts going, are you really going to put all your energy into coming back into that game? There's an argument about mentalities there, but I think they have the playoff experience to never, ever worry about that situation.
So you're saying it's more from the fact that it wasn't them going into the game, they were lackadaisical. It was just the way that they were playing. They were turning the ball over. I think they had 20-something turnovers in that game, which is very
terrible.
Which is ugly for them. But it was more along the line of like they saw how the game was going and they were just kind of like, why exert more?
That's how I feel about it, because when you talk about playoff experience and, they got guys with experience, the experience in that locker room is like, hey, we're getting our ass kicked, and they don't take it personally. They don't get upset by it. They just go, okay, cool. Next game. Obviously, as a Mamba truther, I want them to kill everybody every time they step on the court. I like that Jaw wants to kill everybody. So we'll see. But I don't know. I wasn't as worried by them getting blown out. I think that they win the next game, and there's a very easy path for them to find their way to a final, Greg.
Yeah, and by the way, I was also kind of amused by everyone being all offended or had something to say about Draymond, like just getting hyped up with the crowd and stuff. I loved it because Draymond even like kind of knows, like, listen, you got us tonight. I'm gonna have fun. I'm gonna keep myself lighthearted, and then in Game 6 of the Chase, we're gonna whoop you. And
there's
literally,
just no chance, Greg, that the Grizz come out of this series.
No. Which, by the way, I'm very happy that "Whoop That Trick" is also like a song that's played in Memphis. That makes me so happy that that's something they embrace. I love it.
Agreed. Let's get to the last matchup here. One of the more interesting ones, in the simple fact that doesn't look like Luka and Devin Booker like each other, but here's the other side of it, Greg. So Luka had the ball. Devin Booker grabbed it off him. Luka called him a little pussy. I'm going to say something. And I love Devin Booker. He's very tied to Mamba. He's a great shooter. He's lights out. He led a team to, 17 wins before Chris Paul got there? Luka is the heir apparent to LeBron right now, in my opinion. Like, Luka has, if they get him some help, I don't think he falls out of the top 5 if we did a redraft right now. Like, if we did a redraft of every player in the NBA for the end of time, which is opposite for what I said about Jimmy Butler, Luka goes top 5. I don't think it's close.
I think the last 2 years that we've done our NBA season preview on this show, I always continuously say that Luka is like my pick for MVP, because I'm always expecting that one thing that's gonna like put him over the top, and somehow, some way, it just never happens, and I can't figure out
who's
why.
his best teammate ever here with the Mavs?
Ever? Oh, God. Honestly, and this is gonna sound kind of bad, but probably the Dirk's last year when he had Dirk Nowitzki. That's probably it.
So, and I was gonna say, like, you can like count them in their time there, because Dirk's obviously a tough one. That's what I mean, though. Like, it's very interesting to me. Here's a couple scenarios I want to toss your way. Obviously, Joker obviously is one of the guys that I've told you. We asked, like, who would fit Luka's game, right? Who's the superstar out there that would fit Luka's game? You think it's Joker, or I think it's Joker is how I should word that. But Joker.
Here's a question real quick.
Yeah.
Does it need to be a big?
Or a swingman? Like, it's got to be. So it can't be a shooting guard. Reason being, Luka he's a 6'8" dominant ball handling point guard whose body position is second to none when it comes to carrying the court. The big aspect of it allows him to not have to do too much in terms of everything. I like if he were to add. So let's say if he were to add Donovan Mitchell or Joker. I granted we're looking at like two of the best situations ever, right? But give me Joker in there.
But they're polar opposite players, though. Yeah.
So give me. I mean, granted, those two probably won't happen. But let's say it was between Rudy Gobert and, if we're looking at like a top end, Rudy Gobert and Klay Thompson. The Mavs were like, oh, we got a chance to add one of these pieces. It's Rudy Gobert every day of the week for me, because Luka has the ability to make everyone better. He has the ability to like get shooters wide open. Granted, trust me, he would ice with Klay. But if you get him a big man that's actually knows what the fuck he's doing, I think he has a chance.
Yeah, that was the problem with Porzingis. Like, he didn't necessarily play like a true big man, which was the problem.
Yes.
And then I continuously point out, too, that Porzingis was pretty good in DC when he went there. So I would not be shocked if he actually...
he was great with the Knicks, too, yeah.
I would not be shocked in any way if DC has a little bit of a resurgence under him. But I would be fascinated, because I think Gobert is a popular option for the Mavericks, but I don't know how much further that gets the Mavericks, because I don't know what Luka would add offensively to Rudy Gobert's game that Donovan Mitchell couldn't.
I would say that he's a much better distributor than Donovan Mitchell. Donovan Mitchell is predominantly a score-first guard. So he could open up. But the other side of it is, Greg, to be full transparent, it wouldn't be him opening up offensively. It would be him needing that help on defense.
Yeah, because that is something that we will continue to point is that Luka cannot defend to save his life. And that's going to be something that I truly hope. And by the way, and we pointed this out here too, that Luka really, I give him credit for this case, is that he was at least somewhat committed to changing his body during the offseason, because I don't know if he necessarily heard the criticism that he got during the last playoff run, where he just looked tired and winded and stuff like that. But he focused on his conditioning. He ate better and stuff like that. And it started to show a little bit, because he looked like he was more prepared for the season upcoming, and he looks better conditioned for the playoffs.
Part of my take said something, Greg, where they were like, we hope that Luka never gets in shape so that he can always say, I'm in the best shape of my life one random season. Like, so he can, you know what I mean? Like, Luka always has Luka would be like, yeah, but if I was jacked, like, we'd win. So they were like, I hope he never does it, so that one day Luka can just be like, I'm in the best shape of my life, the way that Joker did. Like, genuinely, because Joker's like, all right, I lost all this weight, I'm in the best shape of my life. And they're like, we hope that Luka kind of sits in this limbo of kind of chubby forever, so that he always has that, yeah, but if I would have been in shape.
just like, yeah, if he would have been in shape, they would have actually won a ring or something like that.
That's funny, dude.
Oh, that'd be such a dick move if that's the case. I feel like people would take it too seriously, but that would still be very funny, though.
Real thing. Currently, Phoenix leads 3-2. They play Game 6 today at 8:30 my time, 9:30 nerd time. So, who do you got winning this series, Greg?
I feel like it'll go 7, and the reason I say 7 first off is, what in the world is going on with Chris Paul? to say the least, man. Like I thought he would figure it out in game 5, but game 5 he almost didn't do anything. Book had to be the one to kind of lead that team going into it and stuff, and it worked. But I feel like it'll go 7, but I do think the Suns will pull it out in the end, though. But I'm a little nervous if Chris Paul doesn't get his shit together, especially if it looks like they're going to end up playing the Warriors in the next round.
Yeah, agreed. 10 minutes left to commercial break, Greg. Let's talk about the all-time NBA draft that I did here. So I have all 12 teams up
what
on
an
the
article.
This was
what an article.
One of my more fun times. So what we have up on the screen right now is positions, point guard to center, and then bench 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. The colors denote, just so everyone at home can see, the colors denote when they were taken. So green is first round. I believe blue is second round. Excuse me. I think yellow's third round. Yep. Pink is fourth, and then whatever. I have it in the blog. Whole point here, Greg. What teams did you like? I can go back through a couple of them if you'd like. I have it up on the stream right now. So you sent in a couple teams that you were fans of.
Team 8 is still my favorite. It's still my favorite. I love that backcourt of Isaiah Thomas and Damian Lillard because Isaiah Thomas is a master passer, and Damian Lillard has the range to go all day. And then the front court of KG and Shaq is just intimidating to say the least.
Yeah.
Plus a prime Melo there. That's the key too. I think Melo sometimes gets this weird rep where we don't necessarily take him as serious as some people probably do. But like in his prime, dude was good. And then if you look at that bench right there, like Kemba, I will always have
there's a couple late round picks there. Like I took Booker, I took Kemba, I took DeMarcus Cousins, John Wall.
I will always hate Kemba because of cardiac Kemba, but like Kemba when he was in Charlotte and he was basically the face of that franchise, dude was good. He just needed help in the worst way. And then you got Carter and Griffin when it comes to guys with hops, like you can't beat that at all whatsoever. Couple other guys, and I will say this. You did kind of sell me a little bit on Team 7 with Penny coming off the bench.
Dude, so that was a big one because if you look at that team, Alex English, obviously, premier ball handler, excuse me. So they have Walt Frazier who can handle. They got English who can handle. They got Penny who can handle. So that's why the next couple picks after that, I was like, all right, what do they really need genuinely? They have Dwayne Wade, who's a slashing guard. They have Rick Barry, who's a shooter. They need points. Peja Stojakovic and J.J. Redick in the last round for that class, I loved. And the fact that Chris Webber can just instantly replace Patrick Ewing any time of the day, loved it.
And then low-key, honestly, I was thinking about this. With Team 9, we called it the fundamental team. And then after you put Russell Westbrook on there, I was kind of like, it kind of works even better because Russ isn't a shooter.
Yes.
So Russ is an amazing distributor and stuff, and Jerry West is a damn good shooter. So you put that with Kawhi and Tim Duncan.
I did switch Jerry West and Russell Westbrook in the blog. So Russ is actually the point guard, Jerry West shooting guard.
And it works better. Yeah. And it works better that way too. Like people don't give Russ enough credit for how good of a point guard he is either. So that's something that could be really good.
Which is why I took Rondo there too, because I was like, all right, say Russ is doing some stupid ass stuff, you bring in Rajon Rondo, and then you have all the big men there to back up.
Yeah, I refuse to acknowledge Team 12 because Team 12 is like all points, no defense. So
here's the thing about Team 12 is who did Russell Westbrook want to be? The Big O. You give him the Big O. You have, dude,
my God.
George Mikan was a tough one there because I obviously don't know George. I know of George Mikan being a great Laker, but that was back when they were actually the Minneapolis Lakers. So, but Kevin Love, Mike Miller, and Steven Jackson are some of my favorite. There's a lot of really good benches here is my other thing. Because if you look at Team 1, Greg, I think Team 1 head and shoulders is the best team because you come in here with Jason Kidd, Michael Jordan, Dominique, Karl Malone, Hakeem. Off the bench, you have Jimmy Butler, who isn't the closest thing to Michael, but work ethic-wise is up there. Joel Embiid, who is very close to Hakeem. Mark Jackson, genuine scorer. Amari Stoudemire, an instant plug-in for Karl. And then to snag, John Wall, who probably is the best ball handler left at that point because they had the last pick. Team 1, obviously, really good. But then I loved the fact that I got to pair Reggie Miller with LeBron James, too.
when John Wall got drafted, I remember I went up to the Reebok outlet at Grove City, and they had the zigzags on sale up there. I wanted to buy them really bad because they were the first John Walls, and I didn't. I kind of regret that now, but to say the least.
What do you?
And then another.
Which team are you going towards?
Team 5.
That's exactly where I was going. Team 5 is icy, dude.
Team 5 is Team 5 is international flavor, and then you just also have the greatest passer of our generation in Magic, and then you have a guy that prides himself on being the best defending guard that we've ever seen in Gary Payton. That's just and then your entire front court is just length everywhere.
Dude.
Which is something that could be nasty if you cannot defend, which is why Team 12 I would not want anywhere near me.
My only concern with Team 5 is that I really only was able to get Bob McAdoo, as their other big. So like I got Luka, Jet, Paul George, Chris Mullin, because my instant thought was Giannis is not a 3-point shooter. He's basically Magic Johnson in terms of what he does. So Magic distributing the ball out there. Gary Payton's not much of a scorer. I love Dirk and Joker together. I think that they both stretch the court. They're both amazing passers. So I was like, I need to get other guys on here that can score. Paul George. I mean, he doesn't break
Paul George in Indiana.
He doesn't break his leg for the U.S. team, Greg. He's top 5 player. Like, I don't think it's close. Chris Mullin, a scorer. Jet, scorer. Luka, Magic, later on in life. So loved that team especially. And then I think one of the more underrated teams here that if we're going to put money on a team winning it, Greg, Team 10, you put Steph Curry, Ray Allen, Scottie Pippen, Draymond Green, Moses Malone together with Derrick Rose and Devin Booker coming off for the backcourt. Alonzo Mourning, dude. I love that. Dude, I feel like that roster.
I feel like what's also kind of fun about Team 10 is that I feel like every single one of them has some sort of chip on their shoulder that like would want them to like go above and beyond in some sort of way. Like T-Mac was probably the first NBA player that like I was a true fan of.
Agreed.
Because my first NBA game was an Orlando Magic game.
Oh, nice.
So I saw T-Mac live and stuff. So like that was like he was the first player I enjoyed. So I think that loved Rasheed Wallace, even though he was a giant bully, but it was fun. It was a fun bully. Alonzo Mourning coming off the bench is fun as hell too, because he was one of the first $100 million players, I believe, off the top of my head. And actually, I'm not even kidding here. You could alternate Draymond and Mourning pretty easily, and you would have no problems with that whatsoever. And then Scottie Pippen also as like the most underappreciated player ever. Like that's something like if you put that team together and stuff, that'd be pretty fun. And I don't know if you've seen any of this, but have you been on Bleacher Report where they show where they have like the simulations where it's like 1 versus 1 of like all timers?
Yeah.
Can you imagine if you did something like this on NBA 2K or something like that?
Oh, I'd love it.
I wish you could do that.
I've definitely done like 32 teams. I don't know how to do 12 with it, but the last team before we get to commercial break here, Greg, is last 2 teams, Team 3 and Team 4. So Team 3, you have Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, Kevin McHale, Dr. J, paired with, I think, it's tough to say because there's some impressive ones. I would say one of the most lethal backcourts on this entire roster in Kyrie and Clay. You bring in the truth, Paul Pierce, Joe Dumars, an amazing scorer, Al Horford, who earned it, Andre Iguodala, a worker, and Dolph Schayes, who is in the same category of George Mikan, which is you don't really know much about him, but he's a top 10 player all time. So I snuck him in there. I feel like
Kyrie and Kareem would love each other.
Yes, I think that would be beautiful.
I get that vibe.
Yeah.
I get that vibe.
Agreed, dude. And then Team 4 is my pour gasoline on the fire team. So Allen Iverson, Kobe, Johnny Havlicek, Dennis Rodman, Pau Gasol, Bob Cousy, Ben Wallace, Tim Hardaway, Zach Randolph, Joe Johnson. Josh texted me and said, "You drafted for Team 4, didn't you?" I said, "Well, I drafted for every
drafted in all of them, yeah." So I remember last week when we were discussing this one, I love that you have Kobe and Pau together because they work so well together and they're best friends.
Made a lot of sense.
That's the key right there. But with Rodman and Iverson, you need they are both extremes in their own senses. So you need that one force that kind of can bring them all together, and they each respect and they will do anything for. Rodman had that with MJ.
Yes.
got his shit together right there because of MJ. AI never necessarily had that, but AI was also someone that like you could put into a game and he will do everything in his power to try to win a game.
Yep.
So therefore, I think like pairing him then with Kobe was a smart call.
It just made all the sense in the world because Kobe can make, like, Dennis Rodman obviously was amazing with Mike, that gave him structure. AI's a winner. He would, it's a fun matchup there. And then I think the only team that we didn't talk about in depth, the last team before commercial break, is Team 2. Steve Nash, Reggie Miller, LeBron James, Anthony Davis, Bill Walton, Bob Pettit, Dennis Johnson, Horace Grant, Sidney Moncrief, DeMarcus Cousins. A lot of names on here that casual fans might not be aware of, but I mean, Sidney Moncrief, amazing scorer. Dennis Johnson, amazing ball handler. Love Horace Grant. DeMarcus Cousins in his prime was a dog. And don't even take away from the fact that this is an amazing team for LeBron. LeBron obviously has always had to have his teams around him to win, and I think him and Reggie would be electric.
And people also do not respect Bill Walton enough for how good of a player he was either. Bill Walton, if he did not have chronic knee and foot injuries like he did, Bill Walton would be much more highly regarded as one of the best centers of the NBA. That is something that I would be very willing to have an argument over for.
All right, we're going to take a quick commercial break, guys. We will be right back with some more Two Beers Deep.
Don't go away.
MVP is a hot topic right now, Greg. We'll get into a couple of the discussions here that I want to ask you. So, two people on the screen. Joker wins his back-to-back MVPs. A lot of people are upset that it wasn't Embiid. I have some thoughts on Embiid as a whole, obviously, but I'll let you go first, and then I'll bring up my kind of points of why Embiid pisses me off.
Yeah, my initial reaction when I saw that Joker won, I was surprised. I texted you also immediately after as it happened, and I said I was surprised because I honestly thought it was going to be Embiid, just because I think that I think from what I saw, Embiid was getting more national recognition and was getting more love on like our popular TV shows that we tend to kind of bring about and stuff.
Yeah.
The more I kind of like delve into it, I started to kind of think about it from the perspective of what is a true MVP. It's someone that like I personally think, and this is like the same thing that we talked about beforehand and all that, where why there's a difference between the most outstanding player in the league and the MVP. It's two different things. Like outstanding player is like the guy who has been the all-around best player in the league and stuff like that. But MVP is the guy who's the most valuable. He's the most important. Jokic, especially without Jamal Murray and Michael Porter on that team, the Nuggets would not be a playoff team if Jokic didn't do what he did. I will give that. Embiid, I think he got all the national recognition because the Sixers were good for so much of this year, and he was just playing on another level because of the fact that he was actually healthy for the most part of the year. So therefore, we all also kind of assumed that last year he probably would have been in the conversation if he was healthy as well. So therefore, when we saw like a mostly healthy year from Embiid, we were all surprised and we all realized how good he was. But then when you kind of dig into the numbers and stuff, and if you go advanced metrics, which I think is now becoming a thing in every single sport, mind you, because I touched on this with you previously about how like when it was the Miggy and Mike Trout discussion for MVP in the American League in baseball, and it was advanced stats versus traditional stats and stuff. So I think in today's voter mindset, I think that's now changed a little to the degree where advanced stats takes so much precedent now versus what your eyes and what the normal stats tell you. And there's nothing wrong with that. It's just different opinions based on that. I'm not as mad as I was previously because I think that Jokic, if you have him in a game, he's just so damn good at what he does that you have to give him the respect that he deserves. But I think from the perspective of what my eyes tell me is that when Embiid is on his game, he's just so dominant in the paint, and he's just someone that I think if you took him off the Sixers, they clearly struggled, as the playoffs clearly showed as well. So I think that's kind of why I have like this slight feeling that Embiid deserved a little bit more than he should have, but I'm not necessarily as mad that Jokic won.
Yeah, but what's a little bit more? What's he deserved a little bit more? another MVP vote, but not the MVP? You know what I mean? Like, what does he deserve more of?
I guess that's fair. I think I truly did think, just based off of what my eyes showed me this year, and I will admit I didn't watch a lot of Nuggets games this year, so maybe that's where my bias kind of comes in from that. But I do remember watching a good bit of Sixers stuff this year, and Embiid was by far the best player on the floor when he was there.
If Joel Embiid was born in the 60s and played in the late 70s, early 80s, Greg, we would be talking about him the same way we talk about Wilt Chamberlain. Like,
absolutely.
He's obviously a product
Bill Russell and all that, yeah.
Yeah, like he has the skill set of a big that we've never seen before. The issue is that how you win a title now? My issue with Joel Embiid in this MVP situation is that they asked Joel Embiid, and his answer was, while in the middle of a playoff series, Greg, I don't know what else I could have done more to get it. You could have got the MVP, brother. Like that infuriates me, because it's like, dude, I get it. Like, I did everything I could, and I'm still not the MVP. Okay, do more. Like, that blows my mind. And here's the thing too, Shaq got screwed out of MVP twice in his career. Kobe screwed out of an MVP. I guarantee you, Greg, Michael Jordan should have triple MVPs than what he has.
Oh, God,
LeBron.
Oh, God, yeah.
LeBron should have 1 million MVPs. And I hate LeBron, and I'll say that. MVP is something so weird that the only reason I was surprised Joker got it in back-to-back years is because there is an honest mantra about it of, this is your year. Look at Harden, KD, Westbrook, all those guys, like, bouncing. Harden could have won it like 7 times. It's a very interesting, and I think that there is a sense of, like, writers just might not like Joel Embiid and not vote for him in a way, but you can't deny the fact that Joker was the most valuable player outside of, like, maybe fucking Giannis, dude. Like, Giannis deserves that award every year because the Bucks are nothing without him.
I was also going to point this out here too. Like, you could also make a case for LeBron having it this year too, to a degree.
Yeah. Excuse you?
What? Like, if you took LeBron off of the Lakers, they'd be even worse than they were.
Yeah.
So that's the point.
We would just have, I don't know, Lonzo Ball, Brandon Ingram, Josh Hart, Julius Randle, fucking Zubac. Yeah.
Fair enough.
Don't ever say that again.
Sorry.
No, LeBron averaged 32 or whatever this season just to prove that he could, and collapse the Lakers franchise in the process like a piece of shit. Yeah, no, I get it. It's tough. I understand that Joel Embiid is an elite player. When I say he's a fraud, I want the record to show, Greg, him fraud and Ben Simmons fraud are two different things. Because Embiid...
That's what...
Go ahead.
That's the problem. When you throw that fraud thing around and stuff, like, I feel like that's an extreme with
Joel Embiid is a fraud because everyone says he is the big piece, the big man, a top 5 player, and he's just not ever going to bring Philly a title. Ben Simmons is a fraud because he's a fucking phony.
Okay.
I also would like to play for the Warriors, Greg.
I think we all would. We would all love to live in San Francisco and live our lives to the fullest and all that.
It's my favorite line on the planet. I wish I was dating that girl. Well, Ben Simmons wants to be a Warrior.
I did see you pull that out on Dre this week on Twitter, and it was hilarious. So, to say the least,
he said, I forget, what was it even about? He said that something was like the most ridiculous sports statement of all time.
I don't know, but then you chimed in with the Ben Simmons wanted to be a Warrior, and he like calmed down immediately afterwards.
That's what it is, man.
Put him in his place.
Yeah, MVP by the wayside here. Let's head over to NHL playoffs, Greg. We're not going to break down series by series, so I'll just leave the graphic up and we can talk about it for a while. Dennis writes into the comment section. We are live on Twitch at twitch.tv/SlashInTheBench. Word on the street is that Greg is doing drag at Jack Bar in Southside on Tuesday nights. That's not true because he's doing Rankings Court.
That is true. That is very true. I have my priorities in straight, unlike some people, apparently.
Smart man. Danny does drags on Tuesdays at Jack Bar, ladies and gentlemen. Go check him out.
He does, yeah. I mean, he's short enough to be able to fill them out pretty well. So, hey, it works out.
To fill what out? He's short enough to fill them out.
Yeah.
What is them?
I don't know. I've been
boobs,
drinking. I was slurring
Greg?
my words.
Boobs? Are you saying
sure,
boobs? He's short enough to fill the boobs?
Yes, to boobs out. Yeah.
All right. NHL playoffs. Pens Rangers right now, Greg. I feel pretty happy saying we're going to be the winners after this one, but man, we didn't look good last game, and it was pretty frustrating.
No, and what sucked is after Crosby went down, you could tell the momentum change
Yes.
was very. And also, what screwed them too was Malkin being put in the box for the amount of time that he was.
That's
because
frustrating.
because that takes away your two biggest offensive threats. Though I will say Jake Gensel's having a hell of a series. He scored a goal in every single game so far. So he has been everything that we have needed from him, and more so than that.
As respectfully as possible, is Jake Guentzel this good at hockey, or is it playing next to Sidney Crosby makes you this good at hockey? Because, don't get me wrong, Jake Gensel's a great player. But
here's the thing too. Playing next to Crosby, there's a sense of elevation towards it because Chris Kunitz and Pascal Dupuis got big contracts because they played next to Crosby for as long as they did. So I think there's something to that. But I'm also willing to say too that Guentzel also played really well with on a line with Malkin when he had the chance to. I also think Guentzel had a couple occasions where he was on a line with Bonino beforehand and he played okay. So I think the skill is there. The dude's a former third-round draft pick. So at least he has something there. This isn't a scrub or anything like that. Yeah. So, but obviously if you're playing on a line with one of the greatest talents of regeneration at center and you're feeding passes from him and stuff, he's making plays for you, then yeah, you're going to get elevated. It's just kind of natural with that. There's nothing wrong with it. I am nervous. I'm a little nervous about Game 6, obviously, because we don't know what's going to happen with Sid, and we don't know if he's going to be out longer for that. We are scared, obviously, because of his concussion history and stuff like that. We don't know what it is. But I do think, though, that I think the Rangers smelled blood in the water and they took advantage of it in Game 5. But I don't think that'll happen tomorrow night in Game 6. So I expect this to be done afterwards.
Yeah, no, I think that's totally fair. I have a bet at work with a buddy of mine named Frank. If the Pens win, he has to wear my Penguins jersey that Dennis got me. Shout out Dennis.
Shout out Dennis.
Trouba needs taken out on a stretcher next game. The NHL players' safety group should be ashamed. Dennis, the one thing I will say, flat out, the only reason we're mad is because it was Sidney Crosby. That is true. If it would have been Aaron Asham on fucking Giroux back in the day, would you really have been upset about it?
No, it's because it's Sid. If it was anyone else, we'd be a little annoyed, but because of the fact that it was Sid, we get all defensive and stuff like that.
Final score 6-4. Denny says, anything else on the Pens playoff series going on right now? Igor is kind of a fucking fraud. Big fan of Luis Domingue.
I will say, too, I was surprised to see that. Also, I heard today that Igor is one of the 3 finalists for the Hart Memorial Trophy for the MVP of the league, which is something that threw me off so bad. I don't think he's going to win, obviously. But still, I find it amazing that we rattled a Hart finalist so bad that he got pulled in Game 4. So I think you can only imagine what it's going to look like in Game 6. But I digress on that one. As for the rest of the playoffs, though, Bud, first off, I just had to point out here, too, since you are the man on the ground in Nashville, what is the city like after the first playoff series being ended after that? Has it been solemn? Has it been depressing that you know of? Or has it been not much of a change since?
So not too many people, nobody really has been talking about it, which is an interesting thing. They got their shit rang in, but everyone also is a little still upset about just, I don't know, life down here. Ever since AJ Brown left, it's got a little sad. But no, I don't know. Obviously, it was slam packed when I walked towards Broadway to go meet a buddy when they played their last game. But I don't know. I think that Nashville's a good hockey town. It really is. Genuinely, people down here like the Preds a ton. They just hit a brick wall with that Avalanche team. That
Avalanche team is so good.
That's a real, genuine team. Yeah.
Yeah, Cale Makar is no joke. He is going to be probably the next superstar in hockey for a while. I still think they're going to get to the Stanley Cup final. I don't necessarily – I think they're the Cup favorites right now, but I'm not ready to say that. But I will say that they are a damn fun team to watch. And the rest of the playoffs have been just as exciting as well, to say the least. And by the way, I'm also thrilled by the fact, too, that the NHL, just from the fact of moving their business over to Turner and ESPN, has seen a resurgence in their viewership. And I'm glad because more people are watching hockey.
Here's the thing.
What?
hockey fans, man, they're still always going to be pissed off. They finally got their thing. Hockey is on ESPN. Basketball games have been moved to fill hockey games. NHL playoffs are in the most prime time area of the world. Hockey fans are still pissed off.
I think it's just because hockey fans in general are so defensive about it because people just didn't care about them for so long that therefore we have. I'm not going to say we because I don't consider myself that in that same type of mold. I am a hockey fan, but I'm not in that type of mold where I get defensive about it or anything. But I do I find it interesting from the perspective that I think it's just because there's a sense of there's a sense of ownership with it that we loved it before it was popular and stuff. And we, streamed it on stuff that you weren't even able to find it and all that when NBC Sports had no distribution or anything. Yep. And, we love it. We were fans in the 90s when hockey was real and stuff like that. No, I think if the NHL took the same approach that the NBA does, where it was more open and more willing to accept people and wanting to bring people in and teach them about the game and stuff like that. Can you imagine how much more popular they would be and all that? I think it's just a close-minded perspective of it, I guess, that I think hockey fans in general need to get past.
I'm tweeting that one.
Yeah, that's fair. The hockey fans are gatekeeping
hockey
douchebags.
Fans have a close-minded. What did you say? Close-minded what?
Close-minded.
Choose your words wisely. I'm tweeting it out.
Close-minded attachment toward advancing the betterment of the sport. That was as professional as I could probably think of. That was actually really good.
Damn.
Thank you. I choose my words carefully when I know it's not going on social media.
Hockey fans have closed-minded, blah, blah, blah. They're gatekeeping douchebags.
Wait, that's your quote, not mine.
No, that's mine. Greg, hockey fans have a closed-minded attachment towards advancing the betterment of the sport. Derek, they're gatekeeping douchebags.
We're going to get so much hate.
Fuck them, dude. Hockey fans are gatekeeping pieces of shit. You wear a hockey
jersey. That's fair. That's fair. You're not wrong.
Dude,
You're not wrong.
Who wore that number for the Pens back in '84? Don't care at all. Literally don't care.
Have I told you before too that when we were cleaning out my grandparents' house that my mom found her old welcome letter to the official Penguins fan club when the Pens first became an NHL franchise?
Damn, no way.
Yeah, it's it has the old Pens insignia and stuff like that. I know she still has it, but but I need to see if she'll get it framed or something because it's so cool.
Damn, that's cool. Anything else on NHL playoffs, Greg? Because we're gonna get to Kentucky Derby talk, and then we could talk a little other NBA stuff, and then we're gonna close the show out with a fantasy mock draft because I decided that earlier.
Just that part of me is, first off, real quick, number one, Darnell Nurse of the Edmonton Oilers is a moron for headbutting a dude to the point that he is now out for Game 6 in an elimination game against the LA Kings. So if Connor McDavid and the Oilers do not make it to the next round, his fault. Also for the fact, too, that they don't have a defense to begin with.
Connor McDavid's a fraud.
Yes. Number two, And first off with this one, someone I saw is now shortening the Lightning to the Ning, and I think that is awful.
Ooh,
it is awful.
It's just Bolts. Bolt up.
Bolts is way better. Bolt up, yes. But apparently, I did not know this that for the last I think 3 playoff series but the last I think 2 playoff years when they've won back-to-back cups after the Lightning lose a game. They are 16-0 the following game.
Wow.
That's impressive, to say the least. So, to say the least, I'm expecting the Lightning and the Maple Leafs to go to 7, and I will be excited to watch that Game 7 in Toronto with all of the hopes and prayers on the entire city of Toronto for their team to finally get to the next round and then possibly have it come crashing down to a Southeast hockey club. The irony and just to a Southeast hockey club. Incredible.
I appreciate that. Sorry, I'm trying to get Sleeper set up so we can do a mock. Maybe let's
That's
try
okay.
that.
But by the way, real quick, I do have to point out here too. We touched on this too with your we have to touch on this real quick with your dynasty league and all that. The mock that you did, I saw that you sent me and Dre. That's a good pickup.
Yeah,
that's a good trade. That's a good trade if that'll go through.
No one cares about your dynasty or your fantasy team, but I traded Christian McCaffrey this morning, who I think is going to have a great year, Greg, but I don't think he's ever healthy for more than just this. Like this next year, I think he'll do good. I think he gets moved to another team, and I think he just becomes a guy, which is sad. But I got him 2 firsts and A.J. Dillon, so I'm pretty happy about that.
Yeah, I think it's going to go very well for you, and I think you'll get some great value right there. Because I truly think, I feel like someone is going to be dumb enough in your league to overdraft someone.
Oh yeah, 100%. All right, let's talk about it. The greatest odds ever. It was like 81 to 1 or something like that. Rich Strike takes the Kentucky Derby. Man, so basically, long story short, this horse, the races before leading up to the Derby, was in like a buy me race. So basically, it was a race that all these horses race in to try to get new ownership. 4 horses jumped out, I believe, of the Kentucky Derby, opening up spots. Rich Strike rolled there in a trailer on Friday, Greg, and raced and won. Like, Buster Douglas was, I think, 43 to 1 odds, and this horse was 80 to 1. Like, that's how ridiculous it is that Rich Strike actually won the Kentucky Derby and how far away this all is. It's one of the craziest stories ever.
So I did not know the backstory with regards to that. I legit just thought it was something like some new owner that no one had ever heard of, like entered their race or something like that, and that's where we got of. I didn't know there was just this backstory with the horse in all general. I watched the closing segments of it. I saw that he apparently made a move to move along and I don't even know what the hell the name of it is, but like along the guard or along the fence or something to be able to pass everyone, which if that's not aerodynamics, I don't know what is, folks. Like, that's to say the least right there. I also thought it was really interesting too. Apparently he got snippy with the horse that finished in second or something like that. Like he got a little he got a little angry at him. I don't know what they said on the track or something. Maybe he might have been talking smack or something like that. But that's not good sportsmanship right there.
And he tried to eat the guy and eat all the other horses.
Yeah, I feel like that's very poor sportsmanship on our horse. And I understand that there's something to be said for being an underdog and winning it, but goddamn it, you got to have some pride there, bud. Like a little bit.
Act like you've been there before.
Exactly. Act like you've been there before. You're in the Kentucky Derby. You know what? And also, what I appreciate about this now, Deke, is that more and more people are probably going to be betting on underdogs now at the Kentucky Derby, just because of this one instance, which means 100%. Which means that the odds for the favorites are now probably going to go down now moving forward, which is probably going to be better off for the people in the end.
Agreed. Mm-hmm. Greg, just so you know, it's going to fuck things up for a second. In the chat of our Zoom, I tossed the sleeper link. I'm going to go in and just pick my spot. I sent it out to a couple people. Brett just texted back, I'm not ready for a mock. That's totally justifiable. It might just be us.
Too bad, bud.
Yeah. But anyways, yeah. So this weekend, though, Greg, your boy, am going to Steeplechase. Steeplechase is the horse racing event in Nashville. It's about 20 minutes outside the city. We all bought. It's like a ridiculous dress. So I actually bought a suit that I like a lot. But it's dark brown with like tan checkers through it. And then, hold on, let me show you the hat I got.
I kind of want to see this. I'm hyped. This dude's about to be pulling up in something that looks like anyone at the Kentucky Derby right here, putting on his Sunday best and whatnot. I can't wait to see this, folks. Cannot wait. Okay. Oh, my God. You look like someone from Peaky Blinders. I love it.
The Peaky Blinder cap. So I bought this in this 3-piece suit. And my buddy has like a pink jacket with like white pants, and everyone's just I can't wait.
Oh my God.
I'm so excited.
Is this standard when you're going here, just out of curiosity?
So for here, yes. Like this is it's a stupid dress type of event. Yes.
Okay. Granted,
like the suit that I bought, I'm probably gonna wear to like weddings and shit. It looks great. But
Nothing wrong with that. As long as you can find other means for the suit, that's what matters in the end.
Agreed.
Honestly.
I gotta get the pants like tailored, but I'm so excited to go to a horse racing event. I can't even express it to you.
And here's the thing. There's definitely differences here because the only horse races I've ever been to is Mountaineer, and that was just on like a whim to go bet on horses and stuff.
Yeah. Well,
That's
how was that?
difference.
Yeah.
That's nowhere near the stuff. Like I rolled up in like gym shorts and shit like that, and I just sat in the grandstands and bet. Which you can bet on horse racing when I learned in West Virginia you can bet on horse racing when you're 18. So that's apparently something new that I figured out. Yeah.
I love that though. All right, let's head over to the discuss screen here and let me open up the mock. I don't really know if anyone's joining. There might not be people, but this is the part of the audio podcast where if you're a fantasy football guy, tune in. If you're not, that sucks. Because Greg and I dive into the NFL draft. Well, I almost said the NBA the first time and the second time too. We dive into the NFL draft a ton. Oh, wait, before we get into that, Greg, you wanted to talk. I'm just going to pull up the MVP conversation. You wanted to talk Nets-Lakers before we dive into that, actually.
I figured we had to just because the fact that
please.
I mean, first off, I'll get to the Nets first because I know that you have strong takes for the second half of this. But first of all, I completely forgot that Sean Marks is Australian.
Did you?
completely forgot. I'm listening to his press conference, and then all of a sudden I hear his accent and how thick it is, and I'm just like, oh my hilarious. God, it's hilarious, but it's also kind of sexy.
Okay.
Just gonna point that out. It's kind of sexy.
Don't hate that.
To say the least. Yeah, don't hate that whatsoever. I also love too that Amari Stoudemire was on ESPN all day doing like interviews and stuff like that. Which, by the way,
I love Amari Stoudemire. Balling like I'm Stoudemire.
Not the best analyst, I must say. He's kind of like he felt kind of guarded when he was on there and stuff, and probably like newbie. So maybe that might have said the least right there. But Sean Marks, the general manager for the Brooklyn Nets, made a comment this week. He was discussing offseason plans and stuff like that. And the question I believe was directed towards Kyrie. And Sean Marks made a comment talking about how they want players who want to be there and are going to be available for them and are going to buy into what they are selling.
Feels like it should make sense.
Where was that at the beginning of the year? Just out of curiosity, you know.
So
that's my curiosity on that one.
My thing is, I think they were hand tied. I think KD and wanted this to. I don't know. The Kyrie situation's wild, man. Because I don't think if coronavirus hits that they have obviously these issues because of Kyrie's inability to become vaccinated, and I'm interested to see what Kyrie's career ends up as. Because Kyrie Irving, the basketball player, is one of the greatest point guards that we'll see in terms of ball skill, passing, scoring, his moment over Steph Curry in Cleveland. I love Kyrie Irving, the basketball player. Kyrie Irving, the human, is kind of like figuring it out. I mean, it leaked that there was a Twitch stream where he was basically calling everyone in Boston cockroaches. Now, granted, Boston's a fucking town. Like, there are a bunch of degenerate fucks up there. That, you know, there are some, and this is not a fair statement to make without any context, but there are some racist connotations that have come through the years through hockey and basketball up in Boston area that I think that Kyrie has probably felt the brunt force of in a way. So I don't hate it, but also he told them that I'll be here forever. I can't wait to be a Celtic, all this shit. Leaves, go to the Nets. And the Nets, dude, the moment that they both went there, all of my energy went to hoping they never won a title.
And I brought this up to you too, is that just like they immediately became the team that everyone hated.
Yep.
And here's and that's what's crazy too, is that I like Kevin Durant when he was in Oklahoma City. Like I loved him in Oklahoma City. I liked him when he was with the Warriors. Like he got bashed for it, but like I still enjoyed watching him play and all that. But
Agreed.
but you know what the funny thing is too, is that KD is, and like if you hear him talk, if you hear him kind of like be who he is, he's such an introvert that it's almost uncomfortable sometimes. Like he doesn't have that like that personality that's like very over the top and stuff that you kind of gravitate towards. He's like he's the opposite of LeBron. Essentially, he just like he does everything kind of in the background. He does everything like low key. He's all about game, and there's nothing wrong with that. Like, don't get me wrong, I'm not trying to bash the guy or anything like that. It's just I think it puts off a lot of people because of that. Because like because you're not that people person. You're not that type of person that is like kind of like willing to be around people and all that. You're not, and also I'm gonna point this out too. Like KD's not also a leader either. If that makes sense.
Interesting.
I don't see it. Like KD's never the type of person that like. KD's the type of person that like will lead by his actions. Don't get me wrong on that one. Like if like the way he plays on the court and stuff, the dude's incredible just from scoring and all that.
I agree with
that. But being the face of a franchise, like think about it. Like I remember the instances at Oklahoma City and all that, but like for the most part, when he was in Oklahoma City, people kind of gravitated towards Russ with regards to like, post game comments and what was going on with the team and how he could explain stuff. When he went to the Warriors, it was all Steph, it was Clay, it was Draymond. Like he didn't have to do that in Brooklyn the first year because he was injured. And then when he was healthy, it was Kyrie, it was Harden and stuff. So like think about it. Like I don't really recall him ever necessarily needing to be a leader.
Yeah.
And I think he tries to shy away from that to a degree. And it can kind of seem off as passive towards that. But I think it's just that type of mindset that I think he prefers to thrive under someone that is a much more vocal person, to say the least. And KD just does what he does. Yeah.
And then they added James Harden. And it didn't work out. Shocker. As far as the Lakers situation, Jeannie Buss came out and said, when you spend this much over the luxury tax, you expect to make a deep run in the playoffs, not miss them. And I think the more noted part of her conversation there was her saying, I am the president of basketball operations. This is all on me. And the reason that's important is because at the end of the day, LeBron will come and go. The Lakers will last because they're a team. Like, I go ahead.
I just wanted to ask, like, as a Lakers fan, how did that make you feel, like hearing Jeannie Buss like just come out and be as honest as she was about just how the poor performance that there was from it?
I mean, it was pathetic. This was one of the most pathetic Lakers seasons ever. You hand tie the organization to bring in Russ and bring in Melo. You have the oldest average age amongst your starters in the NBA. You gut every asset you have from a young player perspective to chase titles now. You watch all of those guys in the league become absolute superstars. And you walk away with it with one ring that happened to come in a bubble. And whether the bubble ring was harder or easier or real or whatever it was, yes, it is technically a title, but all of the things that have happened, all of the over luxury tax, the overpayments, Anthony Davis not being able to play a fucking season, Russell Westbrook being one of the worst guards in the NBA this season, Carmelo being virtually useless, it makes no sense to me why the Lakers continue to, and if you're LeBron, you're one of the greatest players ever, I understand, and LeBron's basketball IQ is crazy. Like, it's unheard of. But from an organizational standpoint, LeBron is not looking out for the best interest of the organization. So the fact that he has so much weight, I understand. He wouldn't have come there if he didn't. But you're still Jeannie Buss, and you need to take credit because guess what? Eventually, LeBron will no longer be a Laker, and the Lakers will still be a team. And it's fucking pathetic, Greg, that they missed the playoffs this year. I don't care. Anybody can be like, oh, injuries. It doesn't matter, dude. Because here's the thing. Chris Middleton's been down.
Right.
And the Bucks are still the number one team in the East, basically. Like, you've had, Jokic. You had Jamal Murray and Michael Porter out for the whole fucking year, basically. And Joker won MVP because he took his team to the playoffs, not just scored 30-plus average. It's exhausting to continue to have this conversation. And I understand LeBron's one of the greatest players ever, but it's just stupid.
Yeah, hindsight being 2020, especially when LeBron, I don't know if he was necessarily quoted as talking about this, but he did mention the scoring title and wanting it necessarily. Maybe that wasn't the best idea in hindsight because it didn't get anyone else involved and it kind of relied on him to be the predominant scorer and stuff like that, which say what you want, like it was probably not the best idea with regards to that.
Definitely wasn't.
I'm thinking about I'm just kind of thinking about different things from this perspective now is that obviously what we compare the Bucks and the Lakers in that perspective, the Bucks just have a team that was just built and they have the championship pedigree just like the Lakers did, but the difference is that the Bucks also have just a team that's well constructed to fit everyone around either Giannis or all these other guys. And they were slow to start the year also. That's something people forget about with that. Like Middleton and Drew Holiday didn't even Middleton and Drew Holiday, I don't think started to play until I think maybe 10 games into the season. Yeah. Maybe 12, if I remember correctly, because they were in the summer, because they were in the Olympics and shit like that. So there's something to be said with regards to that. I think it's also with regards to roster construction, they realize that youth is important. They realize trying to find the right role fits well too. I mean, look at Grayson Allen, like playing significant minutes when Chris Middleton goes down and stuff like that. We hate Grayson Allen to a degree. Well, I do. I don't know how you feel about that. I mean, I think he's a piece of shit, but still.
I think he's the type of guy certain people need.
And it's fair. That's fair. He's a great role player. There's nothing wrong with that. Great role player. But I look at it and it's just, you have to kind of think about this. Like, part of it is based on the fact that like they just built a horrible roster to work with. They really did. And I think, and I'm surprised that they're not willing to own up to that either. Like
it's a fucking safeguard to LeBron his entire career. Well, he didn't have the pieces. He didn't have the.
Yeah, but here's the thing too. I'm surprised that Jeannie in that article at all, like she referenced how disappointed she was. She referenced how she needs to do better and stuff like that. Never once did she give any indication about how they're going to do that, which is something that I thought was going to be would be something that was brought up.
Yeah, there's no reason to.
But I was surprised when I saw something too that Phil Jackson was being consulted for who's going to be the next head coach of the Lakers. That's something he should, but I'm just surprised they're willing to go back to him. Yeah. That's all.
All right, we're going to take a quick commercial break, and then we'll be right back with this mock draft. All right, we are back, getting everything situated. I think it'll just be us, Greg. So pick wherever you want to pick. I'm at the 3 spot. It's I'm going to make it a 12 team, actually. Make it a little 12 team action, PPR, a little fun stuff here. So super early in the season, obviously, if you're listening to the podcast, we're doing a mock draft live. Sleeper app, shout out Sleeper. This is not an ad, just a massive, massive fan of their situation.
You've been a fan for a while too, I must say. Also,
it's too easy, too cheesy, too cheesy.
Too cheesy.
Let me know when you're in and good. Greg is having technical difficulties.
I am. It happens every goddamn time.
It really does.
Mm-hmm.
Have you thought about being better?
You know what? I've tried. Doesn't necessarily work that way, unfortunately.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's an issue.
Are you able to click the thing I texted you?
Yeah, it's making me download the app and stuff, so that's the annoying thing.
Annoying is a good way to
kill time and yeah.
No.
That's a great way.
Yeah, notable. So the other thing I'm currently working on, sleeper for each team. I came out with my dynasty rankings on thoughtsfromthebench.com. A lot of the names in there obviously will be moved around come draft day, but when you're looking at by these dynasty rankings, these are all rookie centric. So every one of the dynasty rankings is based on just the rookie redraft thing. So articles on thoughtsfromthebench.com. We're going to get started here, Greg. So you are at the 5 spot.
Yes, I am.
Christian McCaffrey, Jonathan Taylor. It does break my heart that everyone has Christian McCaffrey coming back as the 1 or 2 pick because I just traded him in Dynasty, but I'm totally comfortable with what I got from it. Austin Eckler at the 5 is hilariously false to me. I like Austin Eckler. That looks like a stupid pick. So I'm going to go, Greg. I would love Cooper Kupp and Justin Jefferson on my team, but there's one thing the Tennessee Titans have proven they can do: to hand the ball to Derrick Henry.
So what I will say, I think the reason that Austin Eckler is so high in this one, I think is because of the fact that he was healthy for most of the year and he put up some really great numbers.
But ahead of Najee, Dalvin, Mixon, Henry.
But it also adds into the PPR aspect with regards to that too, which I think he was used a lot out of that backfield.
But take him then.
But I hear what you're saying, and honestly, I will go a different route because I had this guy last year in one of my leagues, and he did very well for me. I'm going to go Dalvin Cook here.
No, I love Dalvin Cook. I think he's a wonderful pick there, and he can you turn the sound off on your phone, buddy? Dalvin Cook. No, you're fine. Don't stop saying sorry. Najee goes late. Kelsey first tight end off the board. Josh Allen first quarterback off the board. Mahomes goes. And then you are back up here. Were you hoping any of those guys were going to fall to you while you took Dalvin in the first here?
Honestly, I kind of was hoping for like Devontae Adams, maybe even DeAndre Swift, just as like a back-to-back type thing. I'm looking at the options. So I kind of alternate back and forth with regards to whether or not I should get my two running backs from the start or if I should go for a receiver right now. I've changed my strategy a little bit throughout the years, and I kind of feel like I'd rather get receivers kind of early just so I know I have that one guy. Yeah. So I'm gonna go AJ Brown right now.
Yeah, no, I love AJ Brown. I think him going over to the Eagles is amazing. I have him in Dynasty as well. Massive shares of AJ Brown. I think the trade was good for both sides, but AJ Brown finally can actually become a wide receiver one, which I love. I see that. If Chubb was here, I would have gone Nick Chubb. I love that offense in Cleveland, despite the piece of shit quarterback. And then you look at running backs here, man. So Javonte Williams came on strong last year despite still splitting carries. Aaron Jones is there, who has been, an RB1 in Green Bay, but you worry about A.J. Dillon taking over some of the load there. Saquon Barkley, we have no idea what's going to happen there. I know I can get playoff Lenny on the wrap, who I probably will end up taking. So knowing that's the case, I kind of do want to get – I might end up having 3 starting running backs here and run the flex on one of them. So I love Russ. I think Javonte Williams is their guy. Give me him paired with Derrick Henry there.
I like that. And for the record, I would have gone Nick Chubb with my next pick instead of A.J. Brown if I was going the 2 running back method. Yeah. But this route is kind of the other route I would say I would lean towards.
So Barkley, Lamb, Andrews, Jones go. I'm looking here. I mean, Lamb was one of the receivers I was looking at, obviously in love with him. Antonio Gibson gives me some reservations just because they did spend a 3rd-round pick on Brian Robinson Jr. out of Alabama. Zeke is still there, and I understand that obviously Zeke's been kind of on a decline, but he's still Ezekiel Elliott, still a blocking down back, still be there. But Tom Brady's back for his final year, Greg. They obviously brought in Rashad White, the rookie, but playoff Lenny, he was top 10, I believe, in receptions last year for running backs that were predominant, like the starters. Walking out of here, granted, I do need to get some wide receiver help. I could walk away with Kittle or Pitts, but Kittle had a terrible year. Waller. Give me playoff Lenny. I'll walk out of here with a flex as a starting running back.
Can't go wrong with that. And Zeke also did go with the next pick, by the way, which is kind of not surprising in that sense. So I'm looking at the running back situation. It is a little murky, to say the least, but I'm still going towards the wide receivers in all seriousness because in hindsight, I'm going with PPR strategy, and I'm going to kind of wait to see what happens with the next go around, and I'm going to go receiver in this case, and I'm leaning towards Keenan Allen, favorite of both you and mine, guy that we know is an underappreciated star in this league and will catch basically anything that is thrown to him. So yeah, I have nothing wrong with AJ Brown and Keenan Allen as my 1-2 punch at receiver.
Yeah, Keenan Allen's great. Tons of running backs are going out. Gibson goes, Montgomery goes, Akers goes, Josh Jacobs goes. So you're back up again. You have Dalvin Cook, A.J. Brown, Keenan Allen, a great top 3 there, and you're up.
Yeah, so right now, with regards to the running backs, there's a lot of guys that are somewhat unproven right now. So J.K. Dobbins, Breece Hall, Travis Etienne, Miles Sanders is also there. Damian Harris is there. Elijah Mitchell's there. But I'm also going to go back to the receivers. And there's some interesting guys available right here. But my next pick, and I'm going to round out this top 3 right here because I love this top 3 in general. I'm going to go Scary Terry with my 4th pick. So I have a receiver core now: AJ Brown, Keenan Allen, and Terry McLaurin.
Yeah, there's a lot of concern about Scary Terry wanting to be traded, but I don't really believe much of the hype in that situation. I think that he's fine there. They brought in Jahan Dotson, who I think will only compliment him, and I mean, arguably Carson Wentz is the best quarterback he'll have ever played with. So,
yeah. And plus, you also mean Josh Doxson 2.0.
Yeah, Josh Doxson, Jahan Dotson, same thing.
Hated that so much.
I'm going to go, because I know we're on auto here, so it's going to take some guys. I'm going to go with DJ Moore as my wide receiver 1, because if this other guy slips past these next two, it does. I am super, super, super excited to go into the season, and I am passing on DeAndre Hopkins, who is my number 1 wide receiver talent-wise in the NFL. I love that guy. But they came out, new coach down in Miami, super gassed about Jalen Waddle, Greg. So DJ Moore, high upside. Jalen Waddle, explosively high upside. Give me those as my starting wide receivers.
I thought you were going to go with the Godwin route, honestly. I kind of like him as your number 2.
I like Godwin a ton. It's not as exciting. There's a lot going on there in Tampa. They bring in Russell Gage. You have Mike Evans still there. Gronk hasn't re-signed, but they bring in a rookie tight end.
So I'm gonna go back towards the running back a little bit. And honestly, this is still a route that I'm a big fan of. Even though that he is on the same team as one of my receivers, I still like him a lot. I'm gonna go Miles Sanders.
I hate Miles Sanders, and it's not his fault.
Is it because of the offense?
Yeah. It's just because of Philly's offense as a whole, to be fully transparent.
That's fair.
Tons of names going out. Dalton Schultz off the board. Kenneth Walker, one of the first rookies gone, if not the first rookie. I think Breece Hall went. So Breece Hall and Kenneth Walker off it. Jalen Hurts goes. You're back up.
Yeah, and a couple options that I see I could lean towards. I could double dip with the Chargers receivers and go Mike Williams here with him and Keenan Allen. That'd be interesting.
Mm-hmm.
And running backs, I feel like I maybe should lean up towards that just with the amount of talent that's there. So I think that's where I'm going to lean towards. I'm going to get A.J. Dillon in the 6th round.
As I've noted here, love A.J. Dillon. I think A.J. Dillon is absolutely amazing. I think that's a great snag. I'm going to wait, but I am going to take one of these quarterbacks in the 7th. So Russell Wilson now with Denver, Dak Prescott with Dallas, Aaron Rodgers with Green Bay. I want one of them, but knowing that the next two teams, one guy has Burrows and the other guy might take one of them, I'll kind of leave it to be seen there. As far as the talent here, it's getting a little tricky. I love Brandon Cooks later here. A lot of rookies that just kind of give you a little reservation. Cordell Patterson had an amazing year last year, so he could be a nice pick. James Robinson's still down there as a running back who is not, to be forgotten about. But if we're really going to go with that upside here, Greg, it's Allen Robinson in L.A. for me. He is, going to be their number 2.
Finally healthy.
But finally healthy, replaces OBJ, everything you want out of a receiver every time he's on the field. Dak goes is the only one of those two. So, give me the legs, give me the touchdown, new location. Give me Russ.
I'm not surprised you went this route, and I think he is going to be very fun to see in that offense. I'm curious to see what happens with his weapons now, especially because Jerry Jeudy, we don't know what's going to happen now with the situation, but a lot can happen until then. I'm back up. I'm well balanced. I have 3 running backs, 3 wide receivers. I'm looking at my receiver options. I like them a little more than my running backs, but there's one option I'm going to wait till the 8th round because I think he'll be available. So I'm going to go back to the receivers. And there's a lot of guys right now that I think are rookies to start, so I'm not necessarily sure how they're going to play out to start. But I am going to go with a guy that I do believe is going to be a number 1 to start the year. I'm going to go Brandon Cooks in the 7th.
Yeah, I love Brandon Cooks. John Mechie provides a little bit of upside for that receiving core. Nico Collins might have a decent year as their 3, but Brandon Cooks is the guy. They put a lot of emphasis into Davis Mills being their number 1 quarterback there. They believe in him. Cooks is a number 1 1,000-yard receiver, and I love him.
So I'm back up again. And thankfully, it kind of spun out that way, the way that I wanted. So now I'm going to go back. And it might be a little bit of a reach, but I do think he's going to be the number 1 running back to come out and is probably going to be the predominant offensive weapon for this team. I'm going to go Rashad Penny in the 8th round.
Okay. Yeah, no, I don't hate that. Obviously, they took Kenneth Walker in the second, which is big, but Penny finished the year strong. He should get the lead back touches. Not a
Yeah.
bad pool.
Especially because I already have Dalvin Cook, Miles Sanders, and AJ Dillon. So
Yep.
I think I'm okay with running backs from that perspective to begin with.
I am extremely comfortable with if Dawson Knox, Zach Ertz, and Mike Gesicki get back to me, whichever one falls to me. So I'm not going to take a tight end just here. I'm going to kind of trust them that these two teams don't take every single tight end available. And I'm going to go with a guy that has massive upside down there again. Pulling from Miami here. It's an upside play. He was a top 10 in receptions as a running back. Give me Chase Edmonds.
Chase Edmonds on that team is going to be very interesting, especially because I'm pretty sure the lead back there is
Chase Edmonds.
Is it Breida?
So they have.
I was gonna say it can't be Breida, but then again, I don't know.
No, so they brought in Sony Michel. They have Chase Edmonds. They have Myles Gaskin still. I don't believe they still have Matt Breida, but I have to look it up. But Chase Edmonds provides the upside. Mike McDaniels is part of the 49ers team that used a ton of backs, catch it out of the back. And like I said, Zach Ertz goes, who actually was the tight end that I wanted the most out of that situation. I think with DeAndre Hopkins out, Zach Ertz has a nice upside there. But in Buffalo, there is a tight end that makes you happy. That's Dawson Knox.
Yeah, caught and threw a touchdown pass with a broken finger, by the way. So gotta respect the hustle on that one. And then honestly, for my tight end, from the perspective too, that I think he'll get a lot of work because he came on pretty well last year. I will say, give me Mike Gesicki as my tight end.
Nice. Yeah, Gesicki was the other guy. Obviously, looking at pretty heavy there.
Mm-hmm. Now, 10th round. This is the spot that I typically like to get my quarterback. So I'm kind of, and I know the options are a little bit, are a little iffy to say the least right here, but I'm just going to go with the guy that I think is going to provide me with the best numbers. And I look at it from perspective of throwing, but also running because he's going to try and make plays. I'm going Justin Fields.
Okay. I don't hate that at all. They did bring in the GOAT, Nathan Peterman, though, so.
That is true. But I do like that. I would be intrigued with quarterback situation with Trevor Lawrence, Tua, and Justin Fields because I would not be surprised if any of those three have very good years this year.
Yeah, no, I agree with that. Looking at my roster here, Edmonds on the bench, wide receivers. We're running 2 flex in this mock, so interesting one. Don't hate that guy. I think that there's amazing value here. You know what? I believe in the upside. So give me Kenny Golladay. At one point, Kenny Golladay was a wide receiver 1 for the Lions. I believe in the upside. The Giants is a sticky situation. I almost went Christian Kirk. I'm glad I didn't because he's gone.
I did get burned by him last year, Kenny Golladay, actually.
100%.
So I might be hesitant then. I am curious, by the way, on this perspective with you, how much does your drafting and thought process get affected by if someone burns you last year or not?
Depends if they made changes, and they did make changes in New York. That's it.
Okay.
So, like, I got burnt by Barkley, but I might still take Barkley despite not loving him.
But, I mean, but like Golladay for me, when I picked him, I got him as like, and I thought he was going to be a 1. I thought he was going to be a 1 there, and they just like had no idea what the hell to use him with. So that's like my hesitancy with regards to it. But I know for a fact he is probably the number 1 receiver there. So there's at least that kind of lingering idea that I have with it.
I'm also in the 11th round going to take another number 1 wide receiver, and that is Jacoby Myers.
I kind of hate you for that, but also
it's true.
That's fair. Yeah,
he's a number 1, brother.
He is. I will give you that. A couple of routes that I could see myself going in, and I'm gonna go with a guy that I think is gonna have a very good rookie year, mind you, just because of his talent alone, and because I don't need him to play right away. I'm gonna go Jameson Williams.
Yeah, I'm interested to see Williams. He might be one of the names I'm able to snag in Dynasty. So. It's tough. I don't think Goff is the guy for him, but I do think Jameson Williams was at one point the number 1 receiver in this class, so I do enjoy him as a prospect.
So then looking at this, by the way, Albert O went with the pick after me, which is slightly surprising,
He
but also
technically
not.
is
I'm
the
not.
starter on a Russell Wilson-led
He
offense.
technically is. I'm curious to see how he's used though, because I don't think he. I honestly do not think that Russell Wilson utilizes the tight ends as well as people think, though. So that's going to be interesting to say the least. So I'm back up again. I'm going towards the running backs. By the way, we forgot Raheem Mostert does play for the Dolphins as well.
Yes, that was the name. He's coming back off his injury, so he'll be splitting somewhat with Chase Edmonds if he's healthy.
So I'm gonna go back a little bit towards the receivers, just kind of playing through. And I'm just gonna point this out here too. Like this is a guy that, I had a couple options right there. I was thinking real quick. You know what? I'm gonna go with a guy that I do think. Oh, actually, I'm gonna go with someone that I could see getting some looks this year, just because. And I'm going to say, I'm gonna go Myles Gaskin, actually, just because.
The longest amount of time to take a guy that's a third string I've ever seen. Fourth string, arguably, Greg.
Yeah, I panicked. That's what happens.
You panicked. You took like 7 hours.
I know. I wasn't thinking clearly. It's what happens. But then again, like I have enough running back depth that I feel like it'll be okay.
Yeah, I think you're freaking out for nothing. Give me Tyler Algier out of BYU, Atlanta's only running back on their roster.
I would hope that they make a trade eventually, but we'll see how that goes.
That's the tough thing, is we'll have to see. Super high on this guy. I think he has touchdown upside. Not that I don't trust Dawson Knox, but I want something else. Hayden Hurst, the only tight end that matters for the Cincinnati Bengals, who had C.J. Azuma as a top 10 tight end last year.
I completely forgot that he was a Cincinnati Bengal now. I thought he was still with the Falcons, but
nope.
Damn.
Touchdown's big for him this year.
So I'm looking at a couple other options right there.
Talk through your thought process, Greg, because this is going to be the podcast too. But so
sorry, yeah, I forgot about that. But honestly, here's the other thing too. I'm gonna go with another tight end just because I'd be intrigued to see if he goes off or not. Noah Fant is available for the Seattle Seahawks right there as a late round guy. I'm gonna take advantage of him, even though I have no idea what's gonna happen with that team. I have no idea who the main offensive weapon's going to be, but I feel like if Drew Lock is the starting quarterback, I would hope that he would probably want a reliable target in there.
Love it.
All right, so I'm back up. This is the run on defenses and kickers from what I can tell. I feel like you know what? Fine, I'll be that guy. I'll go with the defense. Give me the Washington Commanders with that amazing defensive line to go with.
Interesting. I don't hate it, but they were so disappointing last year.
But also, I would argue Chase Young got injured I think halfway through the year and stuff like that. So
whatever makes you happy.
I think they'll be better.
Give me the Steelers defense.
Can't go wrong with that.
Kicker, who's going to score the most touchdowns? Give me Dustin Hopkins. I think the Chargers score 1 million touchdowns.
Interesting. I'm going to say sorry, if I'm going with a route of teams that are either going to put up a lot of yardage but then be close that they won't get to the end zone, I'm going to go with the area that probably doesn't have the best of weapons. So I'm going to go Will Lutz with New Orleans.
Nice. Ladies and gentlemen, this has been our mock draft. We will not do one of these every week. It was just something fun to fill some time in today. We'll try to get some more people involved and do a lot more videos of our mock draft just because it's always a fun time. Love the depths on both of our teams, Greg. I think we both proved that the wide receiver, and the running back adage kind of fit in there. But another wonderful show, buddy. Another wonderful evening talking, and we can go watch some sports in Shiznit. And damn it, Struss, if you would have hit that 3 before Jimmy Butler.
I mean, in fairness, I've had sports on the TV in front of me while we've been talking, so I've been doing both. Because you know what that is, bud? That's called being multitasking.
That also means that you're just not paying attention to this show.
I call baloney on that one.
Yeah, but if you're multitasking, it just means you're not giving your energy to one thing. You know what I mean?
No, I always give my energy to you, Deke. Don't ever say I don't.
That's not what multitasking is.
I give my energy where it is necessary, and it is necessary to give my energy to you and that amazing hat that you are
That's
wearing.
a lie. All right, ladies and gentlemen, thank you guys for listening, watching, tuning in. We'll see you guys next week. Check out the vault tomorrow that drops. Check out Monday, we got draft day. Tuesday, rankings court. And we'll have some other stuff dropping throughout the week. So this has been Two Beers Deep. Greg, thank you, buddy, and we'll see you guys later.
Put on Spotify tomorrow. The King has returned.